Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and wisdom of how they sold their first million.
How would you like to achieve your first million? And today we are connecting and we have a special guest from Israel. So, Jonathan, can you please introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Jonathan Rittenberg. I'm the founder and CEO of the Reverb Thought Leadership Agency. We're based in Israel, but we serve clients in the United States, here in Tel Aviv, in Israel, Canada, all over the world.
Jonathan, so why you decided to open your own company? I saw your background in LinkedIn, right? And you have been working for top companies, for corporate. They give you very comfortable life. They pay you good money. So why why you decide to open your own company?
Yeah, so that's a great question, Harry, and it's a story that I like to tell to people. So my background was in marketing. I worked for very large tech companies, Discovery Channel, GoPro, Red Bull Media, TikTok. And when I moved to Israel, I went in from the marketing side into the sales side. And I was selling software. And although I loved the sales, I was really more interested in thought leadership and personal branding. So how can we get people to be their best on digital media, whether that's social media or website or anywhere? How can we make them appear their best and not necessarily make them something that they're not, but bring out the best in them? And I wanted this to be my career. I wanted to work on this type of endeavor. But I was looking around and I noticed that no one is really hiring for this position. It's, it's very specialized, like you're working direct. So you're working directly with the CEO, you're working directly with the CTO, CMO, and you're sort of a consultant. And a normal company isn't hiring for this. So I said to myself, I said, is it possible that you could create this role for yourself? And you could try it and you could try and acquire clients and see if you could create something that is maybe needed and then establish a business based on it.
Absolutely.
And that's how it started about a year and 3 or 4 months ago. And what's now happening is we've seen that this type of thought leadership, content on LinkedIn, having founder-led growth, we see that this is very, very important now. It's almost, if you're a B2B SaaS company, if you're in cybersecurity, financial tech, generative AI, your CEOs and your executive team, they must be active on social media. This is how companies are driving business right now. So it's extremely important.
Yeah, I think that the issue what companies don't have the position with the personal brand, right? It's because this is a concept that is is not as new, but it's a concept that was not around in the 80s or in the 90s, right? So before you used to have the company and you hide behind that brand as a CEO and everything was okay, right? So you have the brand and you don't need uh, to show who you are. In today's marketplace, the consumer need to know who's the person behind the company. The other way around, they want to know about the person first, even before they buy the product, right? And there are things. The personal brand is one of the most important things in business. I think that um, things that you can achieve with personal brand, you can achieve with money. Right? I don't know if you've seen the U.S. election. You see Donald Trump to get elected as president, right? And well, nobody knows that he has a very strong personal brand. One of his opponents, he put 1 billion, and he couldn't beat him, right? And the other one that have a very good personal brand, latest is Michelle Obama, right? Today, now she's more famous than him. She started to work on her personal brand after Obama left the presidency, and Michelle Obama had built a very powerful personal brand. Even some people were saying to put it forward for the presidency of the United States. So what can achieve? Why, Jonathan, share with the audience why personal branding is so important?
So that's a good question, Harry. And I think what we need to sort of do is take a step back and sort of understand sort of how media has shifted and evolved to where it is today. So when social media first came about, well, first before that, we have press, right? We have advertising, we have press, we have these things, newspapers, articles, blogs, and now we have podcasts. So this is sort of like your traditional form of media, and then social media came along, right? And when social media came along, the brands were doing the most talking. They were putting out a lot of content, and a lot of people were following these brands. But what happened is that these brands started to try to sell to people. And you had, Coca-Cola and Disney and Pepsi and these big, and these big companies, and people started to get tired of it. They said, I don't want to follow these brands anymore because they're just talking about their product as a brand would, right? It makes sense that the brand talks about their product, and they should be talking about the product. But what's happened is that these the voices that are behind the brand or the brands themselves, this type of outreach and engagement has become deprioritized, and it has become people have become desensitized towards it. They don't want to hear from the brands anymore. They want to hear from the people behind the brands. They want to hear from the leadership. So at this moment, the CEO of a company, the face of that company, and his profile and his positioning has as much equity, if not more, in a buying process than the brand itself. So there's a statistic from eMarketer. It says that 82% of people are more likely to buy from a company if the executive team is using social media. So the average consumer is almost 100%. It's 82%. It's close to 100% more likely to buy from a brand that they can understand who the people are behind it. So this is the importance of your personal brand, is that you can actually use social media to drive conversions for your business. And it starts with being a good person in your day-to-day life. So if we're good people, if we're nice to each other, if we have a lot of friends, if we become popular in real life, then we can convert that success and popularity onto social media, and we can use it to drive our business. So to your question on why is personal branding important, because we're seeing this sort of founder-led growth, this sort of this importance of the person behind the company versus the company itself. And you have all these initiatives like people are they're more consumers. They're much more conscious of what's going on. They want to know the ingredients inside the packaging. They also want to know the people behind the company. So that's sort of where we see the importance kind of growing, and why this motion is so important to a lot of people right now.
Absolutely. And then the other thing, Jonathan, is that so what message do you have for all the CEOs out there that they think, where I don't care about my personal brand, I don't have time to do the social media, I just need to focus in the profit of my company and in my employees. I don't have time for this. So what message do you have for those CEOs?
Right. So I get this objection a lot, Harry, when I'm speaking with CEOs. I met with one this week, and he didn't want to, he didn't want to put in the time to his social media and his personal brand. And so look, like, if they don't want to, then I say, okay, it's not everyone wants to, but the thing is, you're leaving a lot of money on the table, a lot of potential
Absolutely.
customers on the table. And if you can't see that benefit that the people around you are doing, then maybe you need to get your eyes examined, because you see these huge thought leaders that it doesn't take that much effort to get there. It just takes consistency. So I'm not asking you to spend 8 hours a day on social media. What we're saying is, we need you for 1 hour a week. And we can talk about like the process and what that looks like and how we work with our CEOs and founders and things like that. But if you're not excited about, growing your social media or growing your LinkedIn or putting in 1 hour a week, then you might want to evaluate like where you're spending your time and where you're spending your money, because right now this is the best way to get close to your customer. It's the best way to, social media, like we're talking about like putting out feature updates, like talking to your customer directly, being able to reach out to someone, having someone inbound you on messaging. So and it costs nothing. It literally costs nothing. My agency, we have a retainer. It's not a lot of money. It's relatively inexpensive. And this is more effective than paid advertising. It's more effective than running PR campaigns. And it's probably the best way. It's probably the best form of marketing at the moment, is this founder-led growth.
Yeah, I think that if there is something that the thing with the personal brand, right, that we notice out there in the world, right, is a concept that not too many people understand it. Not too many people actually know what is it. I don't think that people don't see the potential, right? And just to give you an idea, my girlfriend Lily, she owns a book publishing company, and she specializes to publish books for CEOs and for entrepreneurs to enhance the personal brand, right? To make them an author. And in the end of the day, we realized that the people that they will be able to actually understand the product, right? They had to be on top. They had to be on top selling over 1 million. The reason for that is because when you are 0 to 1, and this is the issue that I think that is the problem, that when you're from 0 to 1 million, your priorities as an entrepreneurs are to develop the product, to find your client, to find this, right? And to make sure that you survive. But after you sell 1 million, it comes a second problem, which is market share. And the only way that you can get market share is with branding, to build the brand. You don't build a product, you bring a brand. You don't sell a product, you sell a brand. When you sell a company, what you're selling is the brand and what the brand represents. Now, one of the most effective way to build that brand, if it's associated with that brand, there is a personal brand attached, yeah, that we call it branding by association, that we can live this brand. For example, I don't know if you hear the latest, if you saw the latest advertisement of Nike. Nike has released a new advertise. The whole point is that in this advertise, you can see the football players like Mbappe, Cristiano Ronaldo, all of those players with huge personal brand in the ad. So basically, Nike is doing by branding by association, is associating these big influencers that have a high personal brand with the product. So basically is lifting the product because all these big name, big athletes use that. So Jonathan, for entrepreneurs out there that they are not like Nike that have this huge budget, what they can do to enhance their personal brand?
Yeah. So it's a great question. So I think going back to your point about selling to 1 million and then leaning into the marketing, I think it's a good point. But the issue that we have now is that a lot of companies, they're raising money, right? So they're getting investment
Of course, yeah.
and the revenue is coming much later. So it's not as a linear journey as it used to be with just selling to 1 million and then being able to lean back. Now you're doing a lot of things at a different time. So
Yeah, so how they can start to build that personal brand when they have little resources?
Yeah. So with zero resources, and say you don't want to hire an agency like the agency that I manage, what you want to do is start with a few things. The first thing is focus on who is your customer, who is the person that you're trying to sell to, or who is the person you're trying to speak to. So if you're selling a cybersecurity product, then you're selling to cybersecurity CISO or CTO or something like that. So you want to speak to them, right? So what are these people interested in? The second prong would be, what are these people interested in? What do they want to see? Probably they want to be seeing things about attacks that are happening in different organizations. They want to be seeing things about new features, new tools. They want to be seeing data and things like that, right? So now that I know who I want to speak to, who I'm speaking to, and I also know that what they want to be seeing, I put together a calendar. So I take out my calendar, my Google Calendar, my Apple Calendar, whatever you prefer to use. I choose 2 days in the week, and I put on the calendar that I'm going to post on social media on these 2 days. The first day of the week, I'm going to post maybe a statistic, like an infographic, and I'm going to put or a trending article, something that's happening in the real world. And the second part of the post of the day, I'm going to explain how I approach something in my life, whether it's cybersecurity related or whether it's based on my personal experience. This is going to be a how-to, and I'm going to create a simple list. So here's how I started my first company. Here's how I would approach this type of malware issue. Here's how I hired my first employee. Here's what I looked for. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Very easy, right? So replicate this for 4 weeks. Do 2 posts a week for 4 weeks. Stick to it. Stay consistent, and then measure it and see if you've any increases. And now when we're talking about social media metrics, there's 2 types of metrics. There's on-platform metric and there's business metric. The on-platform metric is impressions, so how many people are reached. It's engagements, how many people reacted, and new followers, basically. So how many people were added. This is what we're tracking for on platform. Then I also want to look at how many people are coming to my website and signing up for a demo. How many people are signing up for my webinar? How many people are signing up for my newsletter? How many people are buying my product? Those are business metrics, right? So if I see increases in any of these 2 sides of these metrics, then I understand that for zero money, for just a little time and thought, that I'm getting started. Now, if what happens that I've seen is that if it starts working, and if you, which it always does with consistency, that you'll want to post more. So myself, I have my own personal brand. I don't only represent people. I post content on LinkedIn, and I started with 1 or 2 a week, and then I started to get good feedback, and then I moved to 3 times. And then by the time now I post original content probably 6 times a day, as well as the other 10 companies that I work for, which I post 7 to 8 times a day for them on any given day. They're not all usually posting the same day. And I still love to share my knowledge, because what I've gotten into the rhythm of is I have a content pipeline. So I'm always looking for interesting things to share with my audience. And because I've built this sort of motion, the motion builds momentum. But you have to start somewhere, and you have to be consistent, and you have to understand the value of it. And there's a great, are you familiar with Alex Hormozy?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
There's a great he gave a speech, and there was a meme that was created from it, and it says something along the lines of, like, when someone says, like, my post only reached 500 people, and he's speaking to a full room of people and said, well, there's 500 people in this room, and it's like a completely packed room, right? So to reach a lot, I don't have to do that much to reach a lot of people. 500 people is a lot of people. If every single day I reach 500 people with my posts, that is 500 potential customers. I just have to hit them with the content at the right time, at the right place, and then they might become a buyer. But it does take time, it does take patience, but the rewards of this are massive.
So how you Jonathan, it was basically try an error. Try and error. How you come up with this strategy that you can organically can grow the your personal brand in LinkedIn, and then you can help also others to do that. So how do you learn how to do that?
Right. So I think it came from actually having sales experience. So like I mentioned, I worked for GoPro and Red Bull and TikTok, and I saw the marketing, I saw the innovation that was happening in marketing. And then I worked in sales and I saw the person to person, because marketing is you're a bit removed from the customer. But in sales, you're speaking to the customer
Absolutely, all the
on a
time.
daily basis. And I was using LinkedIn a lot. And I was sending a lot of messages, and actually I saw the people around me that were using LinkedIn better than me. Like they were creating content, and they were sending inbox in messages, and they were so personalized, and they were getting tons of meetings and selling a lot of stuff. And I realized I just had this like sort of moment where I was like, you can, by building this personal brand and by having this influence, this is the new way of selling. Because the old way of selling, of making phone calls and sending cold emails and getting in someone's inbox without any warm up, it's not really working anymore. And I'll give you an example of that in a second, but I realized that like people that they want to trust influencers, they want to trust the people behind the company, and they get excited, and there's a lot of engagement happening on LinkedIn. If you look at any LinkedIn post, like people will go crazy if you put up the right post. And so I start to understood. So it's okay. So there's a way of building a funnel here, right? There's a way of building a funnel only on social media and just kind of nurturing people down that funnel. And and giving it a try. And so, the I would say in the evolution of the business that I've created, we didn't really measure the business impact for a long period of time. It was sort of like, okay, like can we get the impressions up, and can we get the engagements up, and then can we get like the comments up? And now we're sort of understanding like, hey, like we have a founder over here that got 5 inbound leads in the past week because we just connected with the right people. So part of the strategy is we're putting out content, but we're also connecting. We're giving him prompts, and we're connecting for him, or we're asking him to connect with certain people that we think might want to connect with him. And
Mm-hmm.
when those people connect, they just go to the profile. That's the first thing they do, and they say, "Hey, this is a guy that he might have something that I sell," and then they connect with him. But so I want to tell you about cold sales in my experience. Um, so in 2023, I had two customers from cold outbound. Okay. Um, maybe no, maybe three. Maybe 2 to 4 customers from cold outbound. In 2024, I have zero. So we've 5x'd the size of the business agency, but it's all been through referral. So we haven't actually been able to make cold outbound work for us. And I was doing cold outbound for the last 6 months. Up until a month and a half ago, I was sending every single day. I would send probably
And you
20.
have experience, doing this.
I have experience. I'm a good salesperson. Like if my messages, they're personalized. I spend time. I look at what you're doing. It's very short. It's very brief. It's a good message. But just in this climate now, it's over. Like it's almost completely dead in my opinion. I'm willing to die on the hill and tell you that cold outbound doesn't work anymore, just because of my own experience. So in that moment, like I was already doing content for myself, but in that moment I really switched gears and I said, no more cold outbound, content only, focus on existing customers. If I need to, you can ask them for referrals. Hey, can you refer me to someone else that you need to? But instead, it's just sort of been getting more leads from the organic content. And yes, it does take a long time. It takes 6 months, if not more, 8 months, 9 months to see the result. But imagine not having to cold outbound, creating content that's fun for your audience, building a personal brand at the same time, and then being able to cash in on this, maybe 6 months, 9 months, a year later. And this is why people don't do it, because it takes a long time and it takes consistency, and it's not for everyone. But that's why you have agencies that can assist. So we're at the point now, though, that if you are an executive member of a company or you're a CEO, if you are not doing this, then your company will suffer from not having it. That's just where we are right now.
Yeah, I agree 100%, especially in the tech space. If you don't have a strong personal brand, it's gonna be very difficult to close on sales, and because people don't trust you, people don't know who you are, and if you don't are putting content out there in social media that you can articulate what are your mission, what are your vision, who are you, right? What So actually, if you don't post in anything, it's like it seems that your company is dead. You can be making a lot of progress, but you have to be in communication, because at the end of the day, that social media is what it's like your life pulse, right? For you creating content, but also you have to build the community around your product, your service, your company, because the at the end of the day, that community, a large part of it can become consumer. And the only way that you can build the community is with high quality content. Is For example, this podcast is high quality content, so obviously there is a community that listen regularly this podcast. So the community, it builds itself organically of entrepreneurs out there. But in the same way that we're doing this, right? Like Jonathan is sharing today, if you're a CEO there, you have to be able to create high quality content in your LinkedIn, because that is going to give you a level of following and a level of the most important thing is that people we try to articulate that to entrepreneurs all the time regarding personal branding, is that what you're coming for sales, Jonathan. So you understand that the most important point in sales is credibility, authority. It comes from persuasion. When in order to persuade someone to do something, this comes from the Greeks, right? In order to persuade something to do something is I think it's ethos, pathos, and I don't know what's the other one. It came from the Greek. They are the three levels, the three verticals for persuasion, and one of them is credibility and authority, right? Now, you cannot sell a high-ticket product, you cannot sell a good product if you don't have credibility and authority. It's like you said, Jonathan, it's not that the Outbound is dead, it's that people cannot see your credibility or your authority with an inbound call. It's very difficult with a cold call, it's very difficult to articulate that authority. There is no communication. These people haven't seen you before. And right now, like you said, it's so competitive marketplace, especially in the tech space everywhere, that it would be very difficult for someone to make a sale. Obviously, that depends on the industry. For some industry, it might work, but for a high ticket sale, the people need to know who are you, what you stand for, what is your company, what's your values. Shall I what these people represent, what this company represent, and they're doing social responsibility, and they're ethical. They need to know. And the consumers are getting so savvy nowadays that before they buy, they need to know a lot about you. Because otherwise they're going to buy for someone else that they like more. So some people say sales about people that you like and trust. So the consumer, they're checking if they like you, if they trust you. Now, if you don't write anything in social media, how they gonna like you and trust you in the first place? How you can build that credibility? It doesn't make sense. So we have, and one of the easiest way to build that credibility is exactly what you're sharing with us today, which is you put content in that social media, then you're gonna have a large number of engagement and following. correct? And that number of engagement and that number of following is going to give you something that we call it social proof. And that social proof is credibility. That credibility comes to you as a person and comes to you as the brand that you represent. Okay? And this is gonna make your sales process way easier. You're gonna the other day I have one interview and one of the guys said something very interesting to me. They asked me, Harry, what is the fastest point, the fastest way from point A to B? And I said, oh, the fastest way is the straight line. And he said, no. It's not a straight line. It's the path with less resistance, which is, for example, the river. You see, the river, they don't go in a straight line. They take the path of less resistance, and that's how they actually arrive quickly. The same thing with the selling and the personal brand, right? If you want to remove your resistance when it comes to sales, you have to work on your personal brand. I agree 100% with you, Jonathan. We do this left and right. We work with lots of entrepreneurs. We train them how to speak in front of large audiences, so they can create that level of authority, and they can do a huge speeches and keynote speeches internationally, right? When they get invited to speak, and if you go there and you do a speech that everybody love and everybody clap and everybody say, wow, what happened with your personal brand? It goes to the roof. If you go, like we have clients, the CEOs that from corporations that they came to us to and they say, Harry, we need help because when I'm speaking, people are falling asleep, right? So now we train that person. Now they clapping around the world, and it's amazing. I got invited to speak in all over the world. Make sense? So and become the personal branding. I think, Jonathan, is what we call it authority on top of authority, credibility on top of credibility. The CEOs out there has to work with the pillars of credibility. Number one, like you share, and this is something that everybody should be starting, is to creating content and build a big following in LinkedIn or in the social media in general, right? This is the basics. The basics, and some CEOs, you talk to them and they don't even understand why this is important. So this is the basics, and then you can take it to next level. If you want to raise your level of authority, you can become an author. That's why we own a book publishing company. It says in the word author authority, right? So you can become an author, and if you write a book about your company, about your product, about your service, you become the authority. You already have perceived as the authority in the marketplace. So now you have a following social media and you are an author. Now credibility on top of credibility, authority on top of authority. And then after that, we train you how to speak on the stage internationally. Again, one more layer of credibility. But now, once you have this layer of credibility, and people say, oh, but Harry, I'm investing in this. I'm investing with Jonathan to create the content. Then I'm investing in a book. And then I am investing in speaking around the world. But I don't know how this is going to pay off in the end, because for them it's very difficult to measure. So let me give you an idea. So the people pay 150 or $150 for a pair of Nike, and they pay sometimes $15 for a pair of another trainings, right? So why people are willing to pay 10 times more for a product? You have this everywhere now. If you see iPhone, it's 10 times more than any other common phone that can do everything. If you see Rolls Royce and you see other cars, in any industry that you go to, you will see these uh, premiums brands that they have positioned themselves as authority in the marketplace. And you know what happened when they are the authority in the marketplace? They can launch premium products and people buy them because people actually love to buy, because the people that buy those products, they're looking for the best. They want the best. They don't care how much is it. And if you're able to communicate that you are the best in what you do in your business, or you are the authority, or you are one of the leaders in the marketplace in that type of product, then what happen is people will pay 3 times, 5 times, 10 times more for your product. And when you translate this to money, you will see that the investment that they did in Jonathan on writing a book, it was nothing. That makes sense. It's very difficult to people to see the power of the personal branding, because it's so powerful that that only only the people that use this knows how powerful it is. And I don't know why. That's why, Jonathan, we have a lot of resistance, because the people that have this knowledge, they are already multi-millionaires, they're already huge influencers, right? And the people that they don't have this knowledge, it's difficult to understand the power of this, because when you invest on it, you capitalize huge, but it's difficult to measure. And I think so. What's your opinion on this? Do you think that this is the problem, right?
I think, Harry, like what you're doing with your speakers, like, and what I'm doing, they're just small pieces of the puzzle. So
I
if
agree 100%.
if I want to be a thought leader, I need to adopt a mindset of a thought leader, because I can help you with content, but if you're not giving me
Absolutely.
your opinion and your ideas, then the machine doesn't work. You have to be excited about being in the room, right? So like if you're in the leadership team of a company and you've accepted that position, you have to be the one that speaks first at the dinner table. You have to be the one who speaks
Absolutely.
in events in other places, and you have to be the one offering your opinion. And that's what's going to drive the business forward. And this is what society wants right now. When you're everyone is looking for validation, right? Okay, so I go to the Instagram, I go to the Facebook, I look at the LinkedIn before I do anything, right? I'm checking all of these sources. This is just what we've been trained to do, and um this is what people need before they go on a date with someone, before they purchase someone, before they go out for coffee with someone. They're checking all of these sources to figure out who is this person. And you have to be rounded in all of these areas. You have to have word of mouth reputation. You have to have digital reputation, business, all of these things. They're important. But I want to talk to you something that might be of interest to your audience, and it has to do with the type of content that's needed. So there's a difference between high quality, like content that takes a long time to produce, that is, done by a designer, and content that is just authentic, coming from you, spur of the moment, your opinion, takes 10 minutes to write and create and publish, right? So what we're seeing now is we went from this place of content being very overproduced, and especially in the B2B world, and now in B2C as well. And now everything is really fast-paced, TikTok style video, push it out as soon as possible, write it quickly. And this is what people want. They don't want, so when people say like, oh, I don't want to create content, well, you write an email, right? So you put your thoughts into an email, and you can do that. That's all you have to do. You just have to make a list and bullet it and push it out there. And I have this saying that I use with the founders I work with. I say, if it takes you longer than 10 minutes to create the post or piece of content, then it stops being about your audience and it starts being about you. Okay. So if it's taking too long, then it stops being about the people that matter and it starts being about what you want to do. And so all of the posts, they take less than 10 minutes. That's all we give them. I want you to sound like you. And now this is hard because we're in this world with AI where everything is being run through a machine, and
Absolutely.
you're getting content that sounds a lot the same. That, like, I use ChatGPT a lot. The writing is great. Like it can do the job, but people want those short sentences. They want to hear from you directly. And so the founders, they say to me, so you're going to write everything for me, right? And I say, I'm not going to write anything for you. You're going to give me off the top of your head your thoughts. I'm just going to make sure it looks okay.
Attractives. Yeah.
on the platform, right? So I don't do any ghostwriting. I don't do any, all I do is I just put the picture next to the words. No, but what my job is to create the overall strategy. Why are we saying this at this specific time?
Absolutely.
Hey, please, can you give me your notes on this specific idea? And then I get it from them. But everything comes from them, right? Everything comes from the founder. And I'm very skeptical of people that write content for other people. They're saying, our CEO is too busy. He's too busy. He's too busy to write the content for himself. So we're gonna write it for him. Well, if he's too busy, he must not understand how important it is for him to have an audience that he can speak to directly about the thing that he's doing on a day-to-day basis. Surely he's not too busy for that. Surely he has 15 minutes a day or 1 hour per week to be engaging with the most important people, which are his customers. And if he's too busy, then and if he says, no, I don't want to do it, okay, fine. There's going to be another CEO that understands the importance of this, right? So
Absolutely.
methodology.
Absolutely. It's really, really powerful. So, Jonathan, to conclude, what are the 5 steps that entrepreneurs should be doing out there to make the first million?
Absolutely. So I'll tell you in my opinion, and these
In
are
your opinion, yeah.
in of course it's in my opinion it's and these are in no specific order, Harry, but they're sort of
Yeah.
the things that have come to mind, right? Something that I really believe in is having the proper resources. And I'm not talking specifically about financial or human resources. I'm talking about learning. Okay. So like it's really important that you have your foot inside of the circle of innovation. And the only way you can do that is by reading things that are coming out and engaging with new media and looking at things that are happening around you, looking at competitors, right? So I spend at least 30 minutes a day reading different newsletters and publications and tactics about what's going on. Otherwise, I'm going to stay in the same boat. Okay. So this is really important. And I run my business off of the things that I see that are and some of the things that I read in this newsletter. There's a direct correlation to that. This is where I get inspiration and content and ideas and things like that. The second thing is having the right people around you. And I think this is one of the hardest things to do. I run a very lean operation. I have mostly freelancers. I don't have a lot of full-time staff. And this is because it's hard to hire full-time staff with the capabilities that I need. So I rely on myself, and I've made hiring decisions before in the past that I've had to reconsider and remove people. So I guess, the underlying principle here is be slow and careful with your hiring. Don't just hire people around you. I've hired friends before that I had to let go because it wasn't a good idea. And now, like, I have a very structured way of looking for people. They have to be, 100% vertical experts in what I need. So I will only hire people if they can present themselves as an expert to my clients. That's the only way you get hired. Like it doesn't matter if you're, the best admin or you're good at like something else. You have to be a financial technology expert because that's what you'll be doing. The third thing is finding product market fit for your business. So testing, making wait lists, putting something out there and testing. So a tactic that I hear a lot about is when you're working on a new product, put out like a guest form for people to sign up and see how many people you can get to sign up. When I started this business, I didn't have a product market fit, but I had a strong confidence that this is a service that was needed, right? But I deal with a lot of founders that need product market fit, and they're not really testing it a lot, right? And this is causing issue because you might think that this idea is a great idea, but the market will reject it and say no. The fourth thing is having this attitude of abundance, or having this sort of like executive mindset, right? If I want to run a company, I need to act like a CEO. I need to dress like a CEO. I need to go to places where other CEOs go. One of the first things that I did was I got a membership at the Soho House, which is a a membership only place in here in Tel Aviv. They have it all over the world. Why? Because I felt like I was a CEO and I deserved that. I want a nice
Obviously.
place to work. I want a nice place I can meet with clients. I can take Zoom calls from there. And I start to feel more like a CEO, right? So I have to have this attitude. And if I want to be a thought leader, if I want to be because this is where it starts, right? The seed starts in my behavior and then it transfers into digital. And then the last thing is having a continued perseverance. So keep going, and this can work sort of for you or against you. It can, if your idea is bad and your company doesn't have product market fit, then you should stop, when you get the first red flags, right? But things do take time, okay? And why am I talking about this? Because thought leadership and building an audience on digital media like LinkedIn or Instagram, any meta product, this takes time. So if I just posted, most of the things that I post on my own account doesn't do well, doesn't perform that well comparatively to other things. It just doesn't. So maybe I get like 25 likes on average, and I get, 1,000 or 2,000 impressions. But once every 1 or 2 months, I do something that goes absolutely viral, and I get 80,000 impressions and 500 likes, and that's
wow,
just what
that's
it is.
very impressive. Very good.
Yeah, so that's just what it is. So like, but if I
But you don't need that many. You don't need that many, because with this amount, but like the thing is that depend on the industry that you serve, because your clients are CEOs, right? So it's not that you have millions of CEOs there. It's
right,
it's a very limited audience. So not because you have few likes and few comments, that doesn't mean that reaching your target audience. Make sense?
well, you want to eat your own dog food. Like if I say that I can get you to a thought leader status, then I need to be thought leader status as well. So,
Absolutely.
but the point is that you don't always, it's every day I'm not getting the result that I can say that I can get. I get a small result, but I know that sometimes the big result happens.
Sometimes you hit the big home run, yeah?
Right. So I need to be
Brilliant.
patient, and I need to know, like, sometimes the big one comes and sometimes it doesn't. And it's that everyday churn, keep churning, churning. And like, why do you keep going? Because you fall in love with the process of what you're doing, right?
Absolutely.
You're not looking at the results. So like, I don't care if I get 0 likes or 5 likes or 10 likes. It doesn't matter to me because I like doing it, right? So
Exactly. It's like for you, it's like not working. But eventually we bring a powerful funnel. Yeah?
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So thank you so much, Jonathan. And for all of you following in Instagram, in all the social media, and Spotify and the Apple. See you in our next episode of Unstoppable. How brave entrepreneurs like Jonathan break that wall and achieve the first million. Bye for now.
Bye, Harry. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.